Welcome to this preview video for Divinus, the latest game from Lucky Duck Games. This is a game hitting GameFound for crowdfunding soon, and it's a game that marries the best of the analog and the digital world. It's one of those games that can consider themselves as innovative. Lucky Duck Games is not new to rightfully having the title of a very innovative company that brings a lot of cool new aspects to the games, a lot of new experience that enhance our gameplay and our experience overall. So I think they're trying to push the gas on this direction, and this is a very good sign and a very good example of their intention and their ambition for the future. So what is all about Divinus? Divinus is a game where the Nordic pantheon, the Nordic gods, have their lands been destroyed, so they want to move south. They're moving to the ancient Greece location, and they're going to try to invade ancient Greece and battle against the ancient Greek pantheon and the Greeks found there as well, and try to take over the land and make it from their own. The Nordics being invasive, being always on the move, always on war. It's the best thing that they know to do, what actually they have been doing already, so it's natural for them to go and try to take over the peaceful, up to this point, land of ancient Greece. So there is a clash between the Nordic pantheon and the Greek pantheon, between the gods, but us, the players, are caught in between the crossfire. We're demigods with extreme powers. We just realized our powers and we're trying to explore them. So what we will try to do is we'll try to make to pull the strings, to use the correct puppets to manipulate the area and the land around us, and make the correct choices, so that after the ashes of the destruction of the war between the two pantheons and the two factions, we will arise as a new god, ascend as a new god, and take our rightful position between equals. So what is important in this game is that we have a very, very different and unique experience depending on the choices that we do. To set things straight, this is a game that is consisted of 12 scenarios. I had the pleasure of playing 2 of the 12 scenarios that were available throughout this prototype, and I got a very good feeling about the game, and I really enjoyed it so far. Actually, I'm really anticipating for the remaining scenarios to be released, but that will take some time after the funding. I'm sure that the game is going to be funded. It's going to crush all the goals. It's just a matter of how well it will perform, but I'm sure because of all these innovative ideas, it will materialize, and I can foresee this as well. I can foresee the same way like Pythia, foreseeing that there is a need for a new demigod in the game, and that's what we are trying to do. We're trying to take, as players, and rise between the ranks and ascend at the end of the 12 scenario campaign. Now, this is a digital hybrid board game, meaning that it uses both physical components and a companion app, and blends them together in an extremely smooth and well done manner, so that it provides and yields an amazing new experience. Lucky Duck Games are, I would say, one of the leaders in this area. They shown the way to the rest of the industry with the Chronicles of Crime, with the amazing Destinies, and now they want to just explore more options with this endless possibilities that the hybrid model provides to the gaming industry. So, at its core, this is a legacy hybrid digital hybrid board game. It offers 12 scenarios. By each scenario, you will be modifying the land around you, making permanent changes, being a legacy game, on the tiles themselves, on the demigod boxes, creating character development for your own gods with different abilities, different artifacts that you'll carry, and different titles, but also manipulating your dice in a way that you apply different stickers and making them more and more efficient and more powerful as you go along. You will even be adding rules in the rulebook by applying stickers in the correct location according to the instructions of the app by moving forward. So, the game is very simple to understand. The first scenario is very, very easy. It is meant to be easy in order to give you the basic and the background of the game. And already I can tell you from the second scenario that I had the pleasure to play and enjoy it. It builds on that and starts adding more rules. So I can really even think all the nice and beautiful mysteries that we can discover all the way up to the 12th scenario. Now, I like legacy games, but I always want to have the ability to play more at the end. And this is something that it's been offered here, and I was really happy to discover that in in the game description, that the game has actually 3 modes. it's a legacy campaign game, meaning that each scenario you modify something with your friends and you move forward towards the end of a campaign. Once you finish the campaign, you have the second way to play the game. You can play an infinite replayable mode of the final version of the game, the same way that you have modified it. You can think of in a way like Charterstone, for example, does something similar, a completely different game. And there is a third way to play the game, that you can have single myths with a specific narrative and specific combination of god cards that you can compete against each other. This is a competitive game for 2 to 4 players. So you need to make it to deliver better performance than your opponents, but you need to build on from each scenario to the next. In our 3-player game live playthrough that I'm going to share on different videos so that you can see how well we did on scenario 1 and how well we did on scenario 2, I'm going to just spoil you the end, that the player out of the 3 of us that was doing less good at the beginning, he was building up for the second scenario, and that helped him in the second scenario to crash us, and I was one of the ones that got crashed. But I had such a fun and such a blast that I really enjoyed the game. Now, okay, so I think I've said enough. I'm going to put the link of the description the link of the Game Found campaign in the description of the video below. So please use this link in order to navigate to the campaign and the page. You'll help our channel as well. And make sure you visit the campaign so you are notified when the game launches. I'm going to explain you the basic rules of the game. There will be no spoiler here, so you don't have to worry about it. Exactly the minimum information included in the rulebook, as if you haven't started the game, so nothing is going to be spoiled for you. But I'm going to create separate videos with playthrough from the first and second scenario, and I really will encourage you to see them both with this sequence. See first the video for the first scenario playthrough, and then the video with the second scenario playthrough, so that you can really understand the philosophy and the direction this game is taking. And it's amazing, I tell you, I'm really anticipating to see what comes next. So join me at the table, I'll show you how the game plays, and I will come back at the end of this video, as we usually do, for a wrap-up and my final opinion of the game. Basically, you already understand that I loved it, just a matter of highlighting the cool aspects of the game and what I would like to see in the upcoming scenarios. So let's see how the game plays. Hi, welcome to this preview video for Divinus. Divinus is the latest game from Lucky Duck Games. Actually, it's a competitive legacy digital hybrid board game for 2 to 4 players that features both campaign and an infinitive replayable game mode. You take the role of a demigod, exploring lands, permanently changing the world around you, completing quests for gods, and trying to serve both pantheons to your benefit. You gain artifacts, titles, and favor. Divinus combines popular tabletop mechanics such as tile-laying games and tile-laying mechanisms and dice manipulation, with the permanent changes of a legacy game and the support of an innovative app that goes together with the game. Essentially, Lucky Duck Games has already paved the road with a magnificent installment of previous titles that use both a companion app and physical components, and I'm talking obviously for Chronicles of Crime, this magnificent system, also for the latest gem that they introduced to us, which is Destinies, and now they come and bring us this Divinus, the latest game that it's going to hit Game Found soon. Now, ancient Greece has been invaded by the pantheon of Nordic gods who have left their destroyed world in search of new lands to rule over. A fierce clash of gods is about to begin, and a new pantheon will be formed from the ashes. The prophet, Pythia, foresees that one person of great power, a new Divinus, will ascend. As a demigod of great renown, you can win the favor for yourself from either side and claim your own seat among the gods. So you can understand that this is a completely brand new, innovative game which tries to marry together all the best aspects of modern design. Let me take the cover aside so I can show you this magnificent board, which is serving for various aspects in the game, and it's going to be altered, of course, throughout the different scenarios. Keep in mind that the game is played over we'll show you 2 initial scenarios of the game, but it's played over 12 scenario campaign, Of course, you can keep playing after you finish the 12th scenario with the permanent changes that you have done to the game and all the rules that you have unlocked and all the goodness as well. So only the first 2 scenarios will be covered here. I'm going to keep this video with no spoilers at all, exactly with what is included in the rulebook, so that you get familiar yourselves with all the content and all the components and the goal of the game. And then I'm going to make a separate video with a live playthrough to play through a session, possibly both scenarios, and show you there, of course with some spoilers, what is really under the hood of Divinus. So you can choose if you want to see either or both of the videos respectively. Keep in mind that the 12 scenario campaign is going to be enriched as we progress through the scenarios. This is a prototype, and all you see in front of you are prototype materials, and the app as well is at the prototype stage where they are developing it and enriching it. It's already working fine, but it's again at the prototype stage as everything else. But I'm sure when it's finished it's going to be spotless like the rest of the previous installments of the previous games. Therefore, what you have here is the basic rules that you need to know about the system and what are you trying to do as a main concept in the game. Divinus, as I said, is a legacy game, so you'll be making permanently changes to tiles, to dices, to demigod boxes, and of course to dice, and you will be also changing the various aspects of the game as you progress. You will improve your characters, develop them, but also make different changes on the different tiles, and the game application will remember your choices when you come back and back after scenario and scenario. So this is a part of a legacy experience, as I said, and the app will remember your choices. So for example, when you're exploring a tile that you have previously placed the location onto, it will have different results depending on the different demigods that chose the same tile. Divinus can be played essentially in 3 ways, and this is the important key thing to remember. It can be played as a legacy campaign with a new secret box for each of the 12 scenarios. After the legacy campaign, you can continue playing as a traditional Euro board game experience with the infinitely replayable eternal mode, essentially with all the rules that have been unlocked and all the different aspects of the game. And a third way that it can be played is as a single standalone session, single standalone plays with custom myths, with goats and quests that give unique setups and full narrative around the setting. Basically, this is an innovative idea, but what is even more promising is all the thematic and narrative aspect that comes together with the help and the assistance of the app in this game. The crowdfunding campaign will run from the 27th of July to the 12th of August, and there are a lot of cool aspects that are going to be unlocked over there. I'm not going to go over details. I'm going to put a link at the description of the video so you can follow from that link to the campaign and learn more, and also save it for launching. So let's see what we have in front of us. We have the demigod boxes. That's those 4 boxes at the corners. These are the dice that they are included in the boxes initially. Each player has one of those boxes. Essentially, it shows one of the demigods that you're playing. It starts with a blank spot for your name to put, and then you're going to have different areas to include on the box and put stickers. You'll be marking different favor that you gain from the pantheons. This is the Greek god pantheon and the Nordic pantheon. And then you're going to have artifacts and the backpack that you'll be able to use from stickers that you're going to apply into the box. You will be keeping various aspects and elements that you unlock throughout the scenarios, plus your dice that they start vanilla, as you can see. A nice and chunky and good looking dice with a nice weight to them. I'm expecting nothing less from top-notch quality from Lucky Duck, and I suppose most of you agree with me. But I know for certainty that they will be having stickers applied to them with modifications and manipulation on the results as you progress through the game and you unlock different things. The stickers will be able to be removed, so they'll use, I think, the technology that they used in elemental uprising, where you can easily peel out and remove and apply the stickers. But the rest of the stickers that are going to be applied on locations and the board, on tiles themselves, are going to be permanent, and they're going to be modifying the game for its final mode that it will be the full one once it has fulfilled and went through the 12 scenario campaign. Now, what we see is a typical example of one of those boxes. This is for scenario 1. I'm not going to open and show you things from here, not to make any spoiler. The same goes for scenario 2. These are the different tiles that we have in the game and the game board. Additional material include stickers and things that are going to be available throughout the boxes, the different scenarios, but this is the main bunch of things that you get inside the box when you start from your scenario to begin with. Of course, you'll need to download an application that's going to be the companion app for the game. You can get it from the App Store or the Google Play. You only need to download it once, so you don't need to have internet connection while playing the game, and that's really nice. But of course, having the application, you know, that enables the company to have so much cool things being offered to us down the road as additional updates and more things that we can expect, plus potentially, I'm not saying anything because I don't have any info to say, expansions and such. So this is a digital hybrid legacy game. Basically, it features 12 scenario campaign and infinitely playable internal mode, which means that you will be able to continue playing as you leave it after the 12th scenario again and again, which will be a nice hefty game with a lot of rules and information. What is the goal of the game? Players will take on the roles of demigods who witness the conflict between the gods of the Greek pantheon and the Nordic gods as they arrive in Greece, seeking new lands to conquer and destroy. You compete with your opponents, this is a competitive game after all, to gain favor from each of the two pantheons, either the Greek pantheon or the Nordic pantheon, as you can see in this beautiful map, really gorgeous art by the way, by fulfilling the different goals of the gods. At the end of the 12 scenario campaign, the player with the most favor in total from both pantheons, again both from Greek and Nordic pantheon, will be declared a Divinus, a new god, and the winner of the game. So, the setup of the game will have various locations. Initially, what we need to do is we need to place the game board in the main playing area. We return map tiles to the game box depending on the number of players. When we play 4 players, we don't return anything back to the box. But if we're playing less than 4 players, we need to remove some tiles. For example, if we're playing 3 players, we need to remove all the tiles that have a 4 on the back side, either on this configuration or that configuration. Basically, these are the 2 different types of tiles that you see from the background, either this one or that one with the factions. And in any case, if it has a number 4 and we are playing, for example, 3-player game, you need to remove all the 4 ones back to the box. Again, similarly, if you're playing, as you would have thought, only 2, you need to remove also, in addition, all the ones that say 3+, so that you will end up with only 2+ tiles for either of the stacks. They have to comply with the number of players. So you shuffle all the remaining tiles depending on your player count, and you make 2 separate piles on their respective location. These type of tiles are shuffled and are placed on this location, and you can see the matching artwork that goes for this type of tiles. Basically are the tiles with these magical spots that we'll come back to later, these mystical magical spots. And the second type of tiles, the ones with the 3 factions of the game. Again, the 3 factions are non-player factions. They're factions linked with Greeks, Nordics or barbarians according to the symbol. We'll come back to that in a bit. They are shuffled and placed on the respective right side of the board on the respective location. Then we open the scenario box that we want to play. Of course, we need to start from scenario box 1. And then each player takes a color and the demigod box linked with a color together with the 6 dice. Each player returns a number of dice to the main box depending on the number of players. So in a 2-player game, we don't return any dice. We play with all 6 of them. In a 3-player game, we need to return 1. So we only play with 5. And in a 4-player game, we need to return 2, so we play with 4, respectively. We open the game up on our device, and then we select Start a New Game and follow the displayed instructions. Each player rolls all of their dice. Let's say this was a 4-player game. Each player would roll all of their dice. I really like the ancient Greek numeric font that they have used here.
fits the game a lot, to be honest. So each player, they're going to roll all of their dice, and then the first player marker, only for the first scenario, will be the player who rolled the lowest total and will be the one starting the game. This is the first player marker only for the first scenario. Each player places their dice in front of them without changing their faces, so whatever you rolled, you'll need to have it as such in front of you, and they're considered to be your ready dice, essentially the dice that you can use, and they're considered ready to use dice. If you rolled in a future scenario one result that has either 3 or 6, not just a single value, so it could have 3/6 phase, which is essentially a sticker that can be applied during the campaign when the additional setup stage of the app before starting. Then you can either consider it as if you have rolled either 3 or 6, and you will do this anytime the app asks you to make a total roll count and determining your dice value. The ready dice, your old dice that you keep in front of yourself, are available for you to use for your actions. So we start the game like that. I just want to lay out, it's not part of the setup, but I just want to show you some of the nice illustrations on these tiles. These locations are going to be tile holders for the different tiles that they come in the game. You see that there is a number associated with each of those, and these are part of the mechanics of the game. So this is tile number 1 and this is tile number 12. This has to do with how you acquire tiles, and we'll explain them later on. Just on top of that, to mention that these locations here, you can see some slots. These are locations where you place the face-up quest cards when acquired later in the game. Here you place the tiles when acquired later in the game, but I have done it just to show you the art at the moment. And here you place face-up the god cards when acquired later in the game for the Greek gods and respectively for the Nordic gods. And that's all you need to know for starting the game. The app will guide you through the details. Again, just a reminder of your demigod box, very nice. Here you're going to put your name of your hero. Here you're going to add titles that you're going to be adding. I'm not going to show you stickers from that because maybe it's a spoiler. I just want to leave it for you to discover. If you want to learn more, please check out our next video on the gameplay. And on the back we have artifact space, and artifact space that we put in our backpack. And here of course we can mark when we get favor with the Nordic. This is the Nordic symbol pantheon or the Greek pantheon, and we tick the different boxes to show how much favor we have and pack everything in the box at the end. Of course, the app also keeps track of the favor of each of the heroes with each of the pantheons, and that's very, very nice and unique, and you can also see it at any time during the game. Keep in mind that you don't need to have more than one tablet or phone device to play the game. You can have one and use it commonly. And of course, when the game starts bringing more theme and more narrative into the scene, we all need to pause and listen to the beautiful story being unfolded. So we're exploring the app. All narrative from the app should always be read out loud to all players. And after setting up the scenario, the app will have 3 main utility selections. You can scan or select God's favor and quests. You have 3 options, and they are depicted at the bottom of the screen of the app with 3 different icons respectively. So I'm just showing you here how they look like. This is how the app would look in your phone. These are the 3 different selections that you can have. The first one being the screen that you will have of course a darker background to indicate that you're in this screen or that screen or that screen, so it will pop out with a different color of background. But this is essentially the main let's say interface of the app as soon as the game has started and given you the introduction to the scenario and what you're doing. And then of course you'll be able to either click here for tap, scan or select. So basically you scan stickers with this new scan technology. So instead of having QR codes to scan that they are a bit they are functional but they're a bit ugly, admittedly. or take a lot of space on a card and game board. You'll have nice stickers and nice location icons that you can scan a location on an icon, and then the app will know where you are or what you have explored, and they'll tell you the story or what is going to happen afterwards. So that's going to be a main integration focus point with the app. Of course, you can also include and add manually the location, because each of those stickers will have a number. So you can say I'm at location, I don't know, 16, and then type it manually instead of scanning. But I'm really looking forward for the scanning icon technology. It will make smooth the gameplay experience, and it will just leave you focus on the theme and on the immersion on the game. You also have a second icon functionality. You tap here for God's favor, and then it pops this window respectively. Here you see that you have the different icons for the different players, and you have three main columns. One column is for the Greek favor rank, who is first, second, third, and fourth from the players playing, or up to 3 if you play with 3 players, or up to 2 if you play with 2 players. Then the second column is the favor with the Nordic pantheon, who has the most favor throughout the campaign. That is not only from a single game, with the Nordic pantheon. And here is the combined favor rank for both Greek plus Nordic pantheon. So you could be that you have the most favor with the Greeks, and another person has the most favor with the Nordics, but you see, and completely here in this case, the second in both ranks had together combined the most favor, and was in this third column the first. This has to do with a lot of options and decisions linked with how the story unfolds and the narrative. But again, you can access this panel by going through this icon. And the last icon is the one on the third, where you tap here to see quests. So you see the different quests. This is blurred for you not to have any spoiler, but you can see the active scenarios quests, that there can also be cards added on the top. And these quests essentially are first one to get them can claim them and get the benefits out of them. So the course of the game takes place over a variable number of rounds, and during a round each player takes a single turn, beginning with the starting player and proceeding clockwise, and on your turn you must perform one and only one action. During the first scenario, which the first and the second scenario, again, just to mention, they are specifically made to be more simple in terms of rules and content and difficulty, and as long as you progress through the campaign, more and more rules and options and complexity in inverted commas will be added in the campaign in a good way. But at the first scenario, and during the first scenario, you can only choose between 2 actions, and you can only do one, as I mentioned, during your turn. You can either explore or rest, and more actions will be available in future scenarios. Explore allows you to get new tiles and add them to your map. Each player is building their own essential piece of the map. Each player has their own 4x4 grid that they need to build for their map, independently from their opponents. And rest allows you to take back all your used dice so that you can use them again and have them ready again for your actions. So let's see the basics about around the most important action of the game, which is the explore action. Choosing this action allows you to add a map tile to your own map area, the 4x4 grid that you'll be building in front of you. Each player again does the map for themselves. In order to explore, you perform the following steps in order. First, you choose any number of ready dice, and again I remind you that ready dice are the ones that you have rolled and have in front of you, readily available. And for each, what you do is you select any number of those, and for each die you can add or subtract their values together to get a total value. The total value must be equal to a number space on the game board with a map tile available. So if, for example, we were somehow like that, let's say this was also missing, what I need to do is, and I have 1 and 6 already available, I can combine them, for example, in any way that I want, to either make a 6 plus 1 7 or a 6 minus 1 5. 5 is missing, so 6 plus 1 7 would give me the ability to add them here as spent dice and pick up this tile under the 7 box, because 6 plus 1 equals 7, and then I'll pick up this one, and I would be able to add it within the explore action to my own map according to the placement rules that we'll explore later. Before moving to, let me also show you that, for example, if I had, let's say 2, 6, say I had 2, 6 and 6, that's another example on a future turn. I could easily use it to make 6 plus 6, 12, okay, minus 2, I can make minus either of those, 2, 1 or whatever. So let's say this is positive, 6 plus 6, 12, minus 2, 10. Then I would be able to go and pick up the tile that were, okay, if the tile was there, let's say that this was available, to be able to place the value, the total value of 10. I add and subtract whatever I want in order to make from the numerical values, and then I can make a total, and then that total, if it has a map, I can recover it and add it to my map. Keep in mind that there are different map tiles, but they are mainly either terrain tiles, terrain areas, the green areas, mountainous areas, the brown areas, these are mountainous. You can also have, of course, seas. Okay, these are the green ones are plains, the brown ones are mountains, and the blue ones are seas. So we have 3 different terrain types essentially. We also have faction icons. One is for the Greek faction, and one is for the Nordic faction. And we can also have a third one, which is the barbarians, a neutral one for the moment. And in all of those tiles, you can see that there are some locations that they are sacred. You see, these are locations, let me show you up close, that have this iconography. This is a sacred place. You can have it on sea, you can have it on plains, you can even have it like this one completely in sea or mountains or whatever. In any case, these are the different functions that you see, at least at the beginning in scenario 1, on the tiles that you explore. Keep in mind that you will be adding stickers of locations or factions. There are 2 different types of stickers that you will be adding to your tiles as you move along, and then you will be able to either influence areas and majorities on either icons, or give possibilities to you and your demigod depending on the location stickers that you put, and when you explore it the next time, then you'll be able to interact with this location if you have already placed the sticker in a previous setup. Now, talking about the last portion of my explore action is to take whatever map tile I am entitled to take by my dice placement and add it to my map, my 4x4 grid. I'm going to use for this purpose this area of the board. Normally this is in front of the player, but in order to save time and not have to move the camera, I'm going to assume that this is my playing area, okay, so not the main board. So essentially what you are trying to do here is when you start adding your first tile, you can add it, it's your first tile, so it doesn't matter, okay, so it could be your first tile, like that. Then your map will consist of up to 16 visible tiles displayed in a 4x4 grid. Starting with your second map tile placement, you must obey the following placement rules. New tiles must align side to side with the existing map tile, not a corner. So you can either add something horizontal on the right, on the left side, on the top, on the bottom, matching also the terrain type. So I cannot do that, okay, but I can do that, or I can do that, yeah, or I can do that, but I cannot add it by corner, so I cannot do that. And in addition, terrain types of all sides, not only the one that you're just matching, also from previously placed tiles, need to match with existing and align with existing terrain. So let's start adding some of those tiles, just to show you a potential 4x4 grid. Okay, let's say I was like that, and I had this one here, possibly this one there. Okay, and maybe I had also this one there, and a beautiful plains there, etc. Now, if I was to add here one, I will need to respect both this tile and that tile. So this is not a legal placement because this don't match, but this would be a legal placement because both this side and that side match. Okay, And the other rule that I need to respect is I cannot go beyond the 4x4 grid, meaning as I am now, I really have to stick to this open location that I just showed you with my finger. I cannot go and add one here, because then this row would go up to 5 and this is going to be illegal as such. Overbuilding. When adding a map tile to your map, you can choose to place it on top of an existing tile instead of an empty space, and you may need to do that for gaining icons or benefits, etc. You must still align matching terrain types with adjacent tiles when looking down from the top. Okay, it doesn't matter that it's higher on a second level, but it needs to match everywhere around what is already placed from top. And you ignore the terrain types and symbols on the tile you are covering, so it doesn't matter, but you need to match with the ones beyond. So an example of that would be, okay, this could be an overbuild placement, because this is matching from that side, you see it's completely different, the tile that it's beyond, but I can overbuild because I'm respecting the rules, and that's fine for this overbuild. And I can make placements accordingly depending on my strategy. So you must still align matching terrain types with adjacent tiles when looking down at the visible tiles on your map, even if not of the same height, and you ignore the terrain types and symbols on the tile that you're covering. Okay, so this is an example of how you would be adding tiles to your 4x4 grid with each explore action down the road. Now, another important aspect of the game for us to understand are the areas. An area is defined as 2 or more aligned tiles with matching terrain types. The terrain type of an area is defined by the tiles that formed it. One map tile can be part of more than one areas. So for example, let's see, this is you need at least 2 tiles in order to form an area. So you cannot have an area on a single tile. So let's see how we understand the different areas. This is a 3-area plane, so 1, 2, 3. This is a 2-area C because it's between 2 different tiles, but this is not an area because it's only within one tile, this C area. This is not an area, essentially. This is a C area with the 2 areas of C, and this is a 3-tile planes area. And respectively, if we check about the mountain area, this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So that's a big mountain area and may make an impact if I want to build a large mountainous area. So that's important thing to know about the areas, and you need at least 2 or more aligned tiles with matching terrain types in order to have one area, and you can have more of one type as well in your 4x4 grid. Now let's see about, we explored, we discussed and we explored, we discussed and we've seen the explore action, let's put it nicely. The second option that you'll have available to you from the first scenario is the rest action. And here comes an important cool aspect of the game. You remember, this is a legacy game. You have the basic rules as you can see, but you see there are areas for us to add stickers, and more rules will become available throughout the campaign and the scenario when we add more and more information to the game, and we'll add stickers within the rulebook itself in order to when we unlock the different actions and rules and things that may apply as we progress through the campaign. But as from the first scenario, when you take the rest action as an action in your turn, resting converts your exhausted dice into ready dice so that you can use them again. So what you do is you reroll all of your dice, both exhausted, meaning if you have placed any dice to pick up okay, now this is my playing area, but remember this was also the location of the tile maps. So if I had placed previously whatever random placement, don't much. So this is let's say this could be 3, and this could be let's say 9, 6 plus 6, 12, minus 2, 10. So let's say this was here, okay, to be precise. So what you do is you reroll all of your dice, both exhausted, these are exhausted, and ready if you haven't used them, so you don't need to spend all your dice before you get a rest action. You reroll them and you place them in front of you so that they become again ready for you to use. Okay, so this is the main task that you do when you take the rest action. Then you refill the now empty map tile spaces where you just took dice from. So I took it from 10 and 3, that means I need to draw and put a tile here. Okay, let me move now some of those. I took it from 10, I took the other exhausted dice from 3, so I'll need to place tiles from there. Okay, and the rule is, let me show you, for the slots between 1, 2, 3, 4 and 6. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I use this slot, this stack, in order to fill in the gaps, if any. There will be gaps where I pick up my dice in order to reroll them, and then I will make gaps myself in the display. For the respective 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 and 12, I use this pile on the other side of the board, which, as you can see, has function icons in order to fill in any gaps here. Okay, if a stack is empty, I will fill from the other stack instead if there is one has depleted. So that's the stage of, at the moment, as it is, the rest action. It's a bit more described when you get to unlock one more or a couple of more rules, at least from what I know from the first 2 scenarios, but I'm not going to explain now. I'm going to leave it for you to discover in the next video that we make. Another important thing in the game are the quests. Quest cards are revealed at the beginning of a scenario, and this is the location that you put them, if you remember, the physical cards, but also you can find them from the app itself. Fulfilling them is how you will gain favor with the pantheons, and all players can pursue them during the game, but this is a race. Only the first one to fulfill a quest will perform the steps following. Meaning, when a player fulfills a quest, they tap the quest button at the bottom of the screen, they tap the fulfill quest, then they tap the avatar of the player who fulfilled the quest, so that the app understands which of the demigods fulfilled that quest in its AI. Then you perform the instructions presented in the app, and unless instructed otherwise by the app, you discard the fulfilled quest back into the game box. Incomplete quests, if any, if they remain, are resolved at the end of the scenario, and the app will instruct players what to do with them. Quests may be destroyed, resolved, carried over to the next scenario. It depends on the app and the story that will tell us what to do with those quests. So, one more aspect of the game are the stickers, and this is an important aspect because we're going to put stickers on the dice, removable. We're going to put permanent stickers on the board itself, on the tiles. There are 2 types of stickers that you can add to map tiles specifically during the game. You can either have faction stickers, so more stickers of the Greeks, the Vikings or the barbarians, or you could have location stickers like those here. These location stickers will be able to be picked up automatically from the scanner or manually if you put the number. And location stickers, these represent the various locations that you can visit while exploring. Each time you explore a tile that has a location sticker already applied to it before, in the previous game obviously, you must scan or select in the app in order to read the narrative and follow the instructions. You will only scan a location when you explore it, not when you first initially apply a sticker on the map for the first time. And when you place stickers, we need to respect these following rules. Each tile can have 1 symbol corresponding to each edge of a total of 4 symbols. So you can have up to 4 symbols, including both pre-printed symbols and symbols from stickers, but 1 location sticker maximum. This counts as one of the 4 locations. So in order to apply a sticker, for example, let's say this one, you need to think of the tile being divided with an X, and you can put a sticker here, a sticker here, and a sticker here. And if that goes blank, you could also put a sticker here. So you can have up to 4 icons, but all of them together, if you already have something printed, on this one I can only add 1 more here, 1 more there, and 1 more there. And throughout all of the 4 ones, I can only have 1 location sticker maximum. So another important rule is that there is an exception for sacred places. These are the places that have this sacred icon. So for those sacred place tiles, if there is such a tile, then you can only have a maximum of 2 symbols on it instead of 4. So this can have either 2 faction symbols or 1 location symbol and 1 faction. At maximum you can have 1 location symbol, but again up to 2 on those sacred ones, and up to 4, no, this is a sacred one again, up to 4 on the rest. But if you already have a pre-printed one, you need to have 1 less. So here we need to have 3 more stickers plus 1 pre-printed, 4 again. So these are the rules. So when you apply a sticker, you cannot put it at the end or between 2 terrain types or scan it in advance. You're only going to scan it when you explore it on a future turn in one of the next scenarios. And you cannot cover any part of a sacred space or another symbol unless the app instructs you to do specifically so. The last thing that I want to discuss are the god cards. And this is important, so maybe that's the only thing that I'm going to open from scenario 1 to show you. It's already included in the box of the game. That's the only thing that I'm going to show you from scenario 1. So if you don't want to see it, maybe you can switch your monitor off. But again, I don't think it's a spoiler. It's already as an example included in the rulebook itself. So for example, this would be a quest card that we could have in one of those locations, for example. Okay. So you see the god cards. We have the god cards here, the different aspects on the card. Each god card corresponds to one of the 2 straggling pantheons. In the first scenario, you'll encounter Gea on the left and Ymir on the right. And during the game, one of your goals will be to complete the gods' goals in order to gain their favor. Remember the favor we get with the icons, either in the Greek pantheon, red, or the blue pantheon, Nordic, on the right. And each player can take a favor in both of them and should maximize and plan in order to get favor in both, to be honest. So they will usually require you to compete with other players for terrain areas or faction symbols in order to gain their favor. So for example, you can have either this type of favor, so you need to have most, you see, most plains, most areas with plain, most areas with sea, or most areas with mountain. When it says most, it means that you need to have separate areas, as we explained them before, and you have the highest numerical value on the different amount of areas. So you need to have 2, 3, 4, or whatever, and in any case you need to be more than what the number of, say, plain areas your opponent gets. Okay, but if it says biggest, like here, what it means is you need to have in one of your single plains area, the largest one, you need to see that you have the greater number of map tiles that have this type of terrain, so plains or sea or mountain. Okay, so this counts in your biggest area the amount of specific terrain map tiles that have on them this type of terrain. Here you count different number of areas of this type of terrain. So there are also 2 different explanations at the bottom. Here you see that the player with the most in each gets 2 favors, and the player with the second most gets 1 favor. And you can score also on this one, that one, and that one, or whatever. I mean, you can compete for all of them, for all 6 of them. But keep in mind that if you're playing a 2-player game, you forget about the first one and you only score the second one. So if we're playing a 2-player game, I wouldn't get 2 if I had the most areas of plain than my opponents. I would forget this one and I would get only 1 favor. So you forget all the first ones and you only go for the 2 Latins if you're playing a 2-player game, and the second player in a 2-player game gets nothing for those goals respectively. So again, you'll have here, for example, the Greek god, and here the Nordic god respectively on the respective pantheon. So how do you resolve tiles? The tiles are resolved differently depending on which god cards are in play. So Ymir and Gea are resolved in the following way. The player with the most faction symbols of any type in the scoring terrain type, both printed and stickers, wins. So if there was a tie for the most let's say, mountainous areas, and I had 3 mountainous areas, and my opponent had also 3 mountainous areas. If in my areas I had more faction symbols of any type, okay, then I would break the tie and I would win. If it's still a tie, then the tied player furthest to the left of the starting player, for example the player furthest back in turn order, would win the tie. And that's only for those 2 gods, okay? As you can see, there are stickers and areas for different gods and different scenarios. The game ends immediately when a player places their final tile to completely fill the 4x4 map grid. Players may not have the same number of turns necessarily. Someone may be ahead and finish, and then that triggers the end of the game. And then what you do is you press finish scenario button in the app to trigger the end game section and input the player who fulfilled each of the god's goals to award favor as detailed before. Then the scenario outro will be displayed and the narrative and the story will move forward. So I'm not going to go in more details. This is just simply to show you the main aspects of the game and how it plays. I think you'll learn more when you see us playing the first and the second scenario in one of the separate videos that they will follow. But there's so much potential in this one, really.
Nothing less than another amazing installment in the series and in the latest designs of Lucky Duck games, where they smoothly blend the analog portion of the board gaming with the digital one. So this is indeed a hybrid, and it is the same way that it was a hybrid with the Chronicles of Crime, and the same way that it was as philosophy, and it is as a philosophy, a blend and a hybrid with the Destinies board game. This is again a blend of such, let's say, sweet marriage between those 2 things. You really enjoy the physical analog board game aspect, the physical components, because you are really very much involved in manipulating the land around you, creating opportunities, building up for the next scenarios, developing your character, making sure that you maximize in different scoring opportunities that the gods offer in order to get more VPs at the end, but then making choices that would fit more in an adventure style game, like which Pantheon would I like to support more, should I do both, should I press the gas on one direction a bit more, or should I change within the game or within the campaign my opinion or my legions, etc. So it's a very, very interesting game. Together with all the narrative, it brings all these nice aspects that you would expect from such a game. And the experience from the app, I know that there is a big argument in a lot of the people that they don't want to have any digital in their board games, they just want to have analogs. Some are like myself are really happy to see apps enhancing the gaming experience like we see here, and providing possibilities and more gameplay together with the connection with the digital promise. But also creating the narrative and the atmosphere and the thematic ties to the game a bit more, because of course we can read out of text and out of cards you know, the theme and the story, and I'm sure a lot of people can do it even better than you know, someone providing a narration or whatever. But having the app smoothly, like a friend on the table, guide you through the story, help you with the upkeeping of you know, the math, who is ahead on the favor with the Greeks, or the favor with the Nordic Pantheon, or with the favor overall, etc., and who has fulfilled the witch quest, etc. This is something that is very useful. So it's like you have a very good friend that he keeps all the track and all the scores, and it lets you focus on the gaming experience, on the immersion, and on the mechanics of the game, because the mechanics are really nice. For me, I would say that this game, I would definitely say that this game blends, from a mechanics point of view, some of the best aspects of one of the classic games that I really enjoy, which is King's Domino, and on top of that, it builds with character development, with dice manipulation, with altering things on, you know, putting stickers and altering things, and introducing locations, etc., on different tiles, which will have an impact on you specifically if you were the one to discover this location, or if you were the one to build this temple or shrine or whatever. So you see, all this works like a really well-oiled machine, all the cogs do their part, and we sitting at the end, we just enjoy the show, but with very, very active participation. So it's not one of those games that you would say that the app or the screen takes the driver position. I would say that they're sitting at the back, providing GPS guidance when needed, and making the upkeep when needed, which is very, very welcome. And you're very much in the driver position, driving this experience through the physical components and through the gaming experience with your friends. So, extremely well done, once more. I had no doubt that this was going to be a success. I'm really looking forward to all the new things that are going to be explored. The promise is there is so much more things to be added through scenarios 3 to 12, because I have seen 1 to 2. I would like to see more interaction that I'm sure we already started seeing from the second scenario with the Clash of Gods. I would like to see more locations, searching, going for ghost hunts and searching for locations and clues, and you know, building on the adventure and building on the development of the characters. So, bottom line and summary, superb experience, one of, I would say, the best in the genre, very, very much intended to all these people who like thematic ties to the games, who like narration, who like cool and easy mechanics that you don't have to dig, you know, I don't know, get behind on a ton and pages of rules and you know, subcategories and cases and different options and different tables, etc. It's a very, very clean rule set, but it builds on it, adds more and more and more. And I'm sure at around the middle or towards the end of the game, this is going to be a medium, if not heavy, Euro-style game with all these things being added and with all these possibilities for scoring and much more fun and much more gameplay. So, 2 thumbs up for me, extremely well done, congrats. Make sure you visit the GameFound campaign to subscribe in order to be notified for the launch of the game, which is going to be on the 27th of July, if I'm not mistaken. Go check using our link below, because this is where you'll help our channel, and make sure you visit the campaign and the page frequently during the campaign duration, because I'm sure they're going to, I have no inside information, but I'm sure, knowing Lucky Duck Games, they will enrich the campaign with many, many more things on this great system. The framework is there and it's fantastic, it's amazing. So, many thanks for watching.